We we are being live streamed now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final week of October. This is Mastering the Drop, a real view of recovery, where I have amazing conversations with all kinds of people about all the wonderful different kinds of recovery journeys we can have. Because as we know, addictions, negative attachments, and the habits that hold us hostage are all seated in a pressure to perform. They are all indicative of us relying on something outside of ourselves to bring us peace, joy, comfort, relief, value, validity, worthiness, all the things. And really what we want to do is we want to bring all that power back so we can learn how to live free and do it without overwhelm. So, we have a lot of really great conversations, and I am just so excited. Karen and I have been getting to know each other over, the last couple of months, maybe even longer. Time flies, but we have been spending so much time having just amazing, beautiful, organic conversations where one might not even think our practices would overlap, but finding all of these wonderful synergistic things. And I'm like, why are we keeping our amazing conversations private? Why don't we just take them to live and let people hear, the things that we talk about? And I think, where we left our conversation the last time we were talking, which was, no, let's save this for later, was about that internal dialogue and how pressure filled it is, and how, degrading it can be, and how devastating it can be, and just how much the way that we talk to ourselves truly keeps us stuck in the past, or frozen, freaking out, worrying about the future, and just we're stuck, and we're just not able to even be present, let alone move forward, because fear is a big deal. And so I'm like, oh, Karen, let's just save this conversation because it's a great one. So anyway, Karen, tell everybody who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself, and then, then we can go into our fun conversation.
Okay, well, I love it. You're absolutely right. Who knew that we might have a conversation like this? But in truth, it absolutely is. I am a six-figure money mindset mentor and a former people pleaser, total self-doubter, terrified of making anybody not like me or worry or feel bad. And it was like, oh my gosh. And through life and growth and whatnot, I have come to a place where I said, why has it taken so long? It doesn't have to take so long. It doesn't have to be so hard. Why did I let myself be bothered with this for so long and feel less than, and feel that fear, that negative self-talk? Oh, I'm stupid. I can't do this. Everybody else is better than me. And I'm such a failure. And so I ended up finding ways of creating an easier way of getting forward, moving forward, feeling better relatively quickly. Because when I started on this journey, I started in life coaching. Well, life coaching is so much faster than 20 years of psychotherapy, which I didn't need, right? Most of us don't need that. We just need to feel better. So after that, I thought, you know what, even a couple of years of life coaching, that's too long. What else can we do? What else can we do? How can it get better than this? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. So I started my curiosity, and I've always been curious. How can we make this easier? How can we make this better for me? And maybe if it's better for me, maybe we can make it easier for other people. And that's basically where I am. So I created after getting certified in 100 million different areas, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration. I developed the heart energy techniques, HET, which take in a multitude of ways that I use my intuitive skills to work with my clients with what they need at that moment in time to feel better as quickly and positively as they can. And that is, you can't move forward when you're feeling miserable. Just can't do it.
Oh, and I'm just listening and I'm like, parallel universes, parallel stories with, of course, different underpinnings.
Yeah.
But, I had a 30-year, relationship with addictions, addictive behaviors and processes and negative attachments and habits and all of that. But I also had a 25-year recovery journey, right? So when I finally got to my ending place, I was like, nah, man, I'm already 25 years in, right? Because it started with, eating disorders, disordered eating and trauma and trusting in people. And then, then when I, removed some of those chemical substances or chemical substances that were really holding me back, I realized exactly what you're talking about, that people pleasing, codependency that nobody else in my life really even knew was going on because it was all just in my head. I thought, oh my gosh, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my opinions, my beliefs, my needs, my wants, my dreams, my desires, la, 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 right? Like nobody sees them as having any value. They can't possibly be valid. They're definitely not worth realizing or even talking out loud about. And so my whole worthiness, my personal value, my personal valuation system was all based on how much I could be for others and always be able to be counted on and, all of those things. And so, yes, when I got to that place, I was like, okay, sure, treatment to, be stabilized, sure that there was value in that. But then I was like, all of the next steps just didn't really fit for me. So then I went to school. And then when I went to school, where most people, rest and reside in the LMFT and social work, which is totally wonderful. We need those people 100%. But what spoke to me and what I've studied was the coaching model as an effective psychological practice. I literally studied that in my degree studies.
Yeah.
Because the coaching model spoke way more to me. It was very forward moving. It was very practical, tactical, all the things. And so this is, again, how can I help people move through all of those similar situations, right? Because addictions aren't just chemical in nature. It's not just for the down, the out, the ill, the poorly functioning, people that need to be removed from their life. It's for food addiction, shopping addiction, people pleasing, codependency, and of course, chemical dependency. But I mean, the list is huge. Yeah. And so here we are, right? Like, putting together these systems, these wonderful systems that we've tested in our own lives and know to be true and effective and lifelong manageable and maintainable if you make them a priority or if you make yourself a priority first. And so that's my version of everything that you just said.
Yeah, when you make yourself the priority. And the other thing to remember is that everybody is different. Everybody is unique. Everyone responds to things in slightly different ways. You and I could be in the same conversation with the same person at the same moment in time and come away with two totally different reactions and responses. So everyone has their own unique stories that are going on at all times, getting back to that inner dialogue that everybody has. And how we relate to people is based on our stories. And the big thing is making the choice that it's time to make the change and coming up with tools that you don't have to hurry and say, oh my gosh, whatever the addiction is, and we all have addictions, heaven knows, We all have addictions. The addiction to be liked, the codependency. And nothing wrong with that. It's nice to be liked. It's nice to have people that you can hang out with and laugh with. And not only nice, it's important. It's very important. However, to be able to do it healthily, that's the big thing without sinking down. And sometimes it's a case of just recognizing and having somebody like you or me help people recognize their true value, because everybody has value, or you wouldn't be here. We're not here on this earth to not have value.
Right. Well, and purpose. Like I don't know about with your clients, people that have been filling their time, right, with overindulgent behavior. And so again, whether that's food and alcohol, food, alcohol, shopping, all the things, right? All the overindulgence, I don't know what I enjoy. I don't know who I am. Like a big population that comes in are the empty nesters that, are like, okay, now what? Like, who am I? What is my purpose?
Exactly.
The kids are all gone. My husband still has his career, or my wife still has her career, because it's not gender bias for sure. Yeah. And now I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know I don't even know what I like to do, because my whole life, for as long as I can remember, has been centered around being the chauffeur, that, all the things that moms and dads do. And so now I just don't even know. So we have these very unique ways of helping people discover on their own, because you also can't define it for people. No. You can't say, okay, here's your life balance wheel, and here's what goes in this category, and this is what goes in that category, and over here we're going to put this. That's not how that works. You have to guide them to, like, what does spirituality mean to you? Does it have anything to do with organized religion? No. Okay, cool. Does it have something to do with, being connected with the earth? And how can we explore it? You have to be willing to take the exploration. But the cool thing about you and I is we've already figured out, like, ways to explore and identify and find and then incorporate into your life. Because I think that's a very important thing. There are so many different types of self-help. There's so many different types of treatment, because even in my own industry, addiction recovery, you go to a 30-day treatment and you come home. Nobody's there to help you with the now what's next. Like, okay, I'm back to the same house, spouse, kids, bills, job, environment that I was previously numbing out or avoiding. And so now what? How do I open the refrigerator and not reach for a beer? How do I open the refrigerator or the freezer and not grab the ice cream? How do I, go shopping and not overdo it? How do I go to all the things? How do I go to the restaurant and sit down and see all the pretty cocktails and the amazing, food, or whatever your thing is? You've got to have somebody there that's done it, help you navigate. And,
and you and I have both been there. You and I have both been there. I mean, I can remember I was worried about being an empty nester. So the universe, bless the universe, made sure that I wasn't an empty nester for about 7 years after I should have been, to the point where I just said, get out. You have to be on your own.
Time to fly.
That was wonderful. It really helped me never have to go through the empty nester. And yet there are so many other things after I took care of my parents. So I was a financial director for a while. I was in so many things, but what was I? I was a financial director. I was a mom. And to me, I was not a very good mom. So I was beating myself up all the time. and very low self-esteem. And then my parents passed. I was a caregiver for 5 years. And then I came home and I said, all right, now it's my time. This is great. Wonderful. Who the heck am I? What do I want to do? I don't have a clue. And finding somebody to help guide through that, discover the values, discover what you might like to do. And the wonderful thing is that you can try it. And if it isn't right, you can change it. How? Who knew? Who knew you could change it?
You're not bound by a title or a role.
Exactly.
I mean, we get addicted to those. We get addicted to having titles and roles, which is, the same with diagnoses. We get addicted to those. And
the bottom line is we got to find the joy inside of us. And maybe it was you who told me, but I don't know where I heard it, but it made a major difference in me, recognizing that most people, including myself, said, all I want to do is feel happy. That's it. But what was explained to me was that happiness is outside of you. Happiness comes in from your friends, your family, your environment, the weather outside. Joy is where we want to be, because joy comes from within. And if you can live with joy inside, life gets so easy.
It's that innocent space where, you can find pure joy just being. It can be a leaf that falls on the ground, or it can just be because I woke up this morning and I'm breathing. But you're right, there are parts of it that we can say I'm happy because of my family and my friends, etc. But we can change that and shift that to start from within. And so there's that tricky balance of not having those things define my happiness, but being a piece of my happiness.
Exactly.
And my joy and whatever. Like, I don't know how many other people do this, but I crack my husband up because I crack myself up. Like, I can just I don't know, make a comment out of the clear blue sky and crack myself up and just laugh to the point of not being able to breathe. But that's, because I quit worrying so much about everything else in first position. Sure, I still am considerate. I'm still, take into consideration things outside of myself. Otherwise, wow, I would be a complete, whatever title, label, whatever, complete narcissist if I only cared about me.
Right.
But I do live for myself first. I do still care about how, my interactions and my engagement with my environment, how that unfolds so that I see myself in the light that I wish to see myself. In other words, I know how I want to see myself. I know how I want to see myself experiencing my environment, meaning wherever I'm at, whoever's there. And I also know how I want to be received. And so there's so many layers that people just don't think about, breaking it down into those categories. And then they, this is why we get into these sticky situations, these sticky conversations. And because if we don't see eye to eye, if we don't agree 100%, then it gets a little uncomfortable. And so, being more in the stance of what I refer to as being in the stance of the learner instead of a stance of a judger, where you're trying to correct or redirect or, move somebody into your position or allow somebody to move you into theirs. That's where these control things come in. And, when we're in the stance of a learner, we just start asking questions. we're okay with whatever the answers are. Also, we're just seeking deeper understanding and for clarity. Again, that you used the word earlier, the intuition, the intuitive mindset, that place. It's just such a broader consciousnness.
It is.
That allows for, not passiveness or aggressiveness or, it's not overly emotional. It's not overly, rational or logical. It's just a place of intuition where you can say, you can be okay with your stance, but you can also be okay with the others.
Exactly.
I a lot of should statements away.
And I think you're absolutely right. Going back to the happiness and joy, I was just thinking in the evening, sometimes my husband and I will go out to the side field and watch the sunset. And I tell you, yeah, the sunset is outside of me, but that brings me total joy. And I can bring it back up, that feeling that I have. And that is the joy, the feeling that you have inside of you. And when you are in those conversations, it's learning how to have that conversation without, as you say, my way is the only way, or your way is the only way, and I'm going to allow you to control my way. No, we're not doing that anymore. But looking at it from curiosity. And if there is something that is not really, I was in a conversation the other day with some people, and I know we were total opposites, but because we respected each other and we looked at it with a sense of curiosity and honoring the other person for who they are and their feelings. And I found myself and them, both of us saying, that's a very interesting perspective. Tell me more. Yeah. Yeah. So it got to the point where I knew that I wasn't going to change my perspective. However, if what they were saying was accurate, that lends a new dimension to my perspective that alters it a little bit. And when you change your perspective, you change your truth.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So true. My mantra, and I'll just share two thoughts that I have, right? My mantra that I live by, which then also means I have to offer it to everybody else, and you'll know as soon as I say it. But it is, this is my life too. It gets to look, feel, be however I want it to. I get to choose. So I have to offer that to everybody else, because if I expect that to be present in my life, I have to offer that out. Even if it's just in here, I have to offer that out. So that's to every driver on the road, every person in the grocery store, everybody, everywhere. I don't have to have parallel thought processes. I don't have to be in agreement, but I do get to say, like, this is their life.
Exactly. I do not have to live their life.
Right. I can just move on. I don't have to carry it with me. I don't have to move into judgment. I don't have to say, whatever, thing, that we do, because we've been brought up that way to judge. You judge people walking down the street based on what they're wearing.
That's why you're a people pleaser. And I was a people pleaser.
Yeah. Yes. But, and we just don't have to do that.
No.
But I love that you said that about perspectives, because one of my big missions, and one of the reasons why I go on other people's shows, like podcasts and guest whatever.
And she was a wonderful guest on my podcast.
Thank you. Well, one of the reasons I do that is to help people broaden their perspectives around the words addiction and recovery. Because in the GP, general population, societal's view of the word addiction and recovery, the first place their head goes to is the down, the out, the ill, the poorly functioning, need to be removed from their life and go someplace else to be fixed. So yes, for one level of severity, sure. Or we'll call it a couple levels of severity. But it is not just that. There are life recovery needs in so many different realms and aspects. And it doesn't even have to be a need, it can be a desire. I'm tired of being held hostage by my habitual gym routine. Like, I fall apart if I'm not there 3 hours a day, 6 days a week. Like, who wants to live like that? That is just not even, no. And I know that a lot of you are listening and saying, nope, every day, if I couldn't go to the gym every day, I would be a train wreck. So not true. You are giving into a habit that is holding you hostage. It is not a necessity. There are so many more, bad grammar, so many different ways that you can broaden that, and expand on that, and so many other ways that you can fulfill your life in so many other genres and categories of life without just going to that same spot. And I talk to a lot of people about this with regard to, say, AA, NA, CODA, overeaters, all of those. Like, those are really great social supports. They do have a system. They do have processes that very, very much, seated in a spiritual space. But it's not the be all end all. You don't have to if you have to sit in a meeting 3 times a day to stay in your program, whatever that is, then you're switching from one attachment to another.
I love that you said that. I love that you said
cross addiction is a real thing. We go from over drinking to sugar addiction. Alcohol and opiate addicts, very often, I'd say 9 times out of 10, end up with some sort of a food addiction. And in fact, I have data and statistics and a whole course on it that's, not available to just anybody. But anyway, we cross addict to something else. I'm going to quit drinking and get fit. I'm going to, do this diet and lose 30 pounds. So we're all in or all out, and we don't have to live that way. And so, I talk to people all the time, again, fad diets, the detoxes, the cleanses, the next big thing. They, just because they're working for whatever influencer you're following, doesn't mean it's going to be the right thing for you. And so that's why, and I think Karen would agree with me, that we start with each client in a process of breaking things down and truly getting to know you. Meaning you get to know you at a deeper level than you would have ever thought. And of course, then it helps us as your guide get to know you as well in the process. But we do things like whole health surveys and, questionnaires and this and that, and to be in this self-exploration. We want to be more interested in ourselves and really dive in and not focus so much on the things that happened in the past that didn't work well for us. Doesn't matter that it's the past. We want to package it up, put it away, throw it away, find the lesson, whatever it is that we need to do so that we can start moving forward. But we got to learn.
You got to learn. It's not an overnight process. Heaven knows it's not an overnight process. When we stop learning, we die. That's one of my other things. So everybody has to keep learning.
That is my heart.
And it absolutely is. And the other thing that is so important for people, all people, is that I was talking to a client yesterday, and she said, Karen, I was doing so well. I had been exercising every day. I'd been doing all the things. I've been gardening. I've been growing organic, and I've been taking all my oils and my natural pills, vitamin pills and things, turmeric, and so on. And I fell off the wagon, and I feel miserable, and I feel horrible. And that is so unnecessary. And by the time she left, we were back up. She said, I don't want to say off the wagon because I don't drink. But she had all of the other addictions, right? And I said, so we worked through it. And when she left, she was able to say, okay, I didn't really, so I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it for a while, and there were reasons, but it doesn't mean I can't start again. Let's get it on the calendar and start again.
Complacency, we all get complacent. And I think, one of the things that I talk to people about regularly, especially those that come in and they want to do the short version. They want to do the short version, and then inevitably, a lot of them come back a few months later because they've gotten complacent. In fact, I have a package that's for complacency. But anyway, it's so if we have 30 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, however many years of conditioned ways of being, right? Like, I'm over 50. I had over 30 years of conditioned ways of being when I started this journey in my early 40s. And it wasn't going to go away in 30 days of rest or taking a break from my conditioned ways of being. Like, if I really wanted them to be different, I had to first investigate and figure out how I even wanted it to look, feel, and be. Then I had to, forage that new pathway. And that takes time, right? Like, if you walk from point A to point B every day for 30 plus years, like that path is well traveled. It's nice and smooth. It's easy to do. But when you want to try doing something different, that pathway, I'm talking, cognitively here, but it's it's not even like you got to go and whack down all the weeds, right? And I have an affiliate that actually brought this analogy to me. She's like, this one's overgrown. I've been going down this one, and so we get complacent, and we go right back to those conditioned ways of being, because just like muscle, there's memory, right? There's strength in that we've built up strength. It's like building up a tolerance to alcohol, whatever. Like, we work hard at it, and then when we want to change it, it's almost like, okay, but it's not going to be easy. It might be uphill for a little while. It might be bumpy. It might be rough. We might have to take a few detours. We might have to try a different path, whatever it is. But the thing is if we veer and we go back to a section that is smooth, easier, right? Again, like you were saying with your client, I fell off the wagon. No, you didn't. You just detoured back to a path of least resistance for a moment, which is totally common, normal, expectable.
Right.
And so all you really have to do is ask yourself, why did I need a break? Why did I need a break from working towards all the things that I had decided were important to me? Maybe I put more importance on something than I needed to. Maybe there was something new and scary. Maybe, there could be all kinds of reasons, and it's okay. Just like when we're hungry and our stomach growls, it's our body's way of telling us it needs some attention. Yeah. So it pulled away to cause discomfort for her, so that it would illuminate the fact that there was something she needed to be paying attention to. And sure, great, yes, okay, I did it, that happened, I'm coming right back. I'm coming right back, and I'm going back in, but I'm going to have my eyes, I'm going to be more attentive. I'm going to be paying attention. I'm going to be present in the moment. Exactly. I tell people all the time, live this moment. Just live this moment. It's the only one that matters.
And that's all we have. It's gone. This moment, it's gone. It's gone. We have a choice. The next moment can be changed. When I was going to coaching school, when I first started out in 2001, and boy, has it changed since then. But the big mantra that actually got me through while I was caring for my parents, and I was not doing a good job because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing it by the seat of my pants. I'm not a healthcare worker. I knew nothing. And because of my desire to treat people as individuals, I didn't want somebody to say, you have to do it this way, because they were not like that. They had to be treated differently. And so with all of that, I felt misunderstood and everything. But back to the saving grace for me, this was actually for a question to my coach when he said, the student said, what do you do when the client is just not moving forward and you're batting your head against the wall? And his comment was, just remind yourself at this moment in time, they're doing the very best that they can, even if it's clear that they're not. And so I reversed that to me, to remind myself that I didn't know. I didn't have that background or information, and nobody, I couldn't find anybody. There were people, I'm sure, but because my parents were, to me, very unique. So I turned it on myself. Karen, you're having a meltdown. You're not being very good for them. You're not good for yourself, heaven knows. At this moment in time, I'm doing the very best that I can, even if it's clear that I'm not. That gave me the permission to allow myself to be in the moment and to make the choice to be different in the next moment, because I didn't like how I was feeling. So I'm somebody who really finds permission to be very valuable. That old people pleaser, need permission. Sometimes many people who have come in contact with me might not agree with that, because I do go my own way. But it's awfully nice to know that you are not alone, and that it is okay to feel badly about yourself, and it is okay to feel awesome about yourself. Yes. You're not being narcissistic. You are being awesome, and with that, you're spreading the joy, you're spreading the love, you're making a difference in the world when you are living an awesome life.
100%. You can. I mean, literally, I think you and I are both obvious living proof that you can live your life for yourself first without feeling guilty, selfish, punished, or restricted.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, people think, oh, well, if I put myself first, isn't that selfish? I feel guilty, not, doing this, that, or the other thing. It's like, nobody's saying don't do those things. Just do them in a different priority order and make sure, right? We learn things like, wow, I'd love to help you. Today doesn't work. How about Thursday, right? Like we just, we learn how to do things like that and have limits and limitations. Like, if I get up and my day is already planned and it's full and I don't have any white space, or the white space that I have is designated for me, or I don't have designated time for me yet, and I only have this, if somebody calls and needs something or whatever, a lot of times I'll say, do you really need that today? Like, I remember when my kids were still at home, like it was more of a, is this a hard fast today, or is it just sometime this week? And it was my way of teaching them, things like, let's plan ahead. Let's know what we need to do during the week so that we can, plan appropriately. Because I never wanted to give up doing all of those things for other people. I love helping people. I love being readily available, but not at my expense.
Yeah. And
not
that's
at my
something I had to learn.
Right. And so as soon as I made that shift, a lot of shifts started happening. And because I allowed myself to have limits and limitations, I can't help you with that right now, but I can take a look at it later today and let you know when I can get to it, or I can do it tomorrow at 2, or whatever the answer is. usually I pause, look so that I make an appropriate answer. But once I started doing that, all kinds of things changed. And I don't have to feel guilty or selfish. Now, with my other pieces, when you're talking about, your relationship with food or shopping or whatever, right? People often think like they go to the extreme. So I'll just bring in those again, fad diets, detoxes, cleanses. You feel very punished and restricted. You don't, like, I can't have that. I can't have that.
Yeah.
I'm doing a cleanse, I'm doing a detox, I feel horrible. And that's not to say that there aren't health benefits, but you have to have this in the right space. Otherwise, you're going to feel very punished and restricted. So when it's over, you're not going to move forward in the thought process of how am I going to now add, edit, delete, change, shift, morph, make it my own, and incorporate it into my life the way that it's going to work best for me, lifelong, manageable, and maintainably, versus, okay, I did this, whatever this guru told me to do, it's over. The results were what they said it was, and now it's over and it's done. And I'm going to go right back to, the first thing I'm going to want is, to go to my favorite restaurant, and maybe I'm making healthy choices, but I still overdo it. And then it slowly but surely goes back to the conditioned way of eating. And then next quarter, 6 months, whatever, once a year, the weight comes right back, or whatever the goal was, right? Because we don't make the right kind of plan, because it doesn't come from here with the thought process of truly serving ourselves first. We're basing it on an external, judgment of how we look. I should only weigh this much. I should be able to do everything. I should this, I should that. And it's all pressure. And it's just so unnecessary.
Oh, and it's so hard. And if we basically what I see with all of that is an opportunity to go back to punishing ourselves for something that is not, you don't need to punish yourself. This is a learning experience. We're creating new neural pathways. You need to have a big why. Why do we want to do this? And what I always suggest is, what is the intention?
And I was just going to say, what's driving it?
Yeah, what's driving it? What is the intent? Why am I saying yes to this? And I did that. I did that just last year. And I said, I really want to be part of this community. I kind of miss my town. I live in a wonderful, in the middle of the woods, 30 acres in the middle of the woods. I don't have to see anybody. I don't even know who's in town anymore. And they were creating something that I wanted to be a part of, right? Leave a legacy sort of thing. Wonderful. All about me. And then it got to be really hard. And it got to be not fun. And the legacy was not there. It was another person, period. Everybody else was just bells and whistles. That was it. And so it got to the point where I had to go back and say, all right, I had that intention. And I've done what I can with joy, with fun. However, what is my intention about continuing it?
Mm-hmm.
And my intention for continuing it was so that people would not see me as a quitter, so that people would like me. And I thought, that is pretty foolish, because I don't like myself, because I come home and I complain to everybody under the sun, and I'm not a complainer. This is not good for me. So I had to say, good luck to you. I will support you when and if I feel like it.
Love it.
But it's all about intention. And you always have an intention with every choice that we make, from getting up in the morning and standing there next to your bed. Number one, you have to say, yeah, I can stand on my own 2 feet.
Mhm.
And how awesome is that? Congratulations. I can stand up on my own 2 feet.
I love that. Yes, acknowledge yourself. If we don't acknowledge the things that we do that fill our soul, fill our heart, that work well, that produce whatever it is that we were hoping it would produce, even if we didn't even like plan it, if we would just go, wow, that went amazing. If we just call it out and say, why did it go amazing? What made it be that way? How can I capitalize on that? Like, give it some love and attention, give it some life, give it some breath, because that's what's going to condition it to stick around.
Exactly. There was a comedy, motivational speaker that my brother introduced me to many, many, many years ago. And basically she said, we don't have enough to-dos. Get out of bed. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
All right, go down and get your coffee. Ta-da!
Yes, I love that.
Just ta-da yourself, or pat yourself on the back, or just smile and say, you done good, girl, or boy, or guy, whatever.
All good. They know how to change that, right? I think, oh my gosh, I think we could probably sit here and talk for 100 years. And I think we say this every time as we notice the clock moving on us.
Coming up.
Because, as it would have it, it's been, 47 minutes. Anyway, I know you have other appointments. I have appointments. And so I want you to, I don't know, maybe just what are your top 3 tidbits that you want to leave everybody with today that is meeting you for the first time? They all know me, and if they don't, they can go back and look at things. They can, right? And I'm here every week. But the top 3 things, and then I put in the chat for you the Facebook page just so you can find it easy. So you can drop all your information in there, so people can follow you as well, and have a conversation with you. But let's hear your wonderful 3 things that you wanted to leave everybody.
Number 1, you're unique. You're amazing. You really are. Don't let anybody tell you that you are otherwise. And find your right environment. Find your tribe in whatever way that you can. And remember, you're never alone. We have a divine universe around us, always, always, always. And when you need that extra help, number 1, ask yourself, what is my intention for doing this? And am I feeling good about that intention? And ask for help. One of my wonderful things, when I get up in the morning and I find myself saying, dang it, I did it again. This is not good. And I don't like this feeling. What can I do instead? And I said, when I get up in the morning, I'm just going to surround myself with my golden cloak, my invisibility cloak, that everybody in the world can see me when I want them to, but none of their negative energy can come to me, because this wonderful cloak is made of a material that keeps out all negative energy and opens wide for anybody giving you the love, the support that you deserve. It isn't even that you need, you deserve. Everybody needs a mentor.
Amen.
And that's why I'm not a coach, I'm a mentor.
You are such a blessing. Like, you just are. You're a blessing. You're a blessing to have as a friend. You're a blessing to have it as I don't know what we were.
And back at you. I mean, this is a back and forth, but this is the way I truly feel. What you see is what you get. And hanging out with you, Tricia, is such a blessing for me. And And I just love it. I love it. Another wonderful little thing that I often use is heavy and light. Which feels heavier, which feels lighter? Well, both of them seem pretty heavy to me. Well, one of them is a little bit, all right. All right. And then give yourself permission to go with whatever it is, the heavy and light. And I did that. I do that almost every day, actually. What feels good? What feels good for me to do right now?
I literally get up every morning to plan my day. Like there might be things on my calendar that, have been there, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance, because I do pre-plan. I gotta book my dog's bath every 5 weeks. I gotta, my own hair appointments. There are things that are already in the calendar, but I literally get up every morning. I do not wake up with any kind of an intention or an agenda or a thought about anything. I have a very specific process I go through, very blank-minded. And then there is a time and a space for setting my intention for the day. And I never know if I'm going to want to seek out, I don't want to use the word need, but, because, sometimes I seek out some of the work or curriculum that I do with my own clients, because it's, of course, the stuff that in my own life, if I'm feeling a complacency or a need for some motivation, I know where to go and get it. But I always set an intention for the day. And a lot of that is the flow of the day. How much I even pay attention to what comes next. Like, I'm not 100% sure what's next. I just know that there's something at 1:00 on my calendar. Because otherwise I'm just too much out in the future. And that is anxiety inducing for me. Anxiety inducing, uncertainty, just all the things. And so, when we think about it, if we're feeling weighed down and heavy and held back, we're really just choosing to be in all of the yesterdays, the last moments, the past, the this, that, ruminating, wallowing, languishing in these depressive states. And then when we're feeling anxiety, we're out there, we're future tripping. And here's the deal. Super quick cheat, and then I really gotta go.
Yeah,
if you're trying to get from point A to point Z without doing B through Y, you are inducing your own anxiety. It's very systematic. It's not the alphabet unless you do B through Y. So quit trying to jump from A to Z. Go through the processes, embrace each step, each whatever, and again, ask for help. Karen, you have been a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to drop your information below. We will see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.